Gotta love live TV. Love when my mic is muted. Love it. My name is John Anthony. This is Chair Shot Sports, a Sport Coin affiliate. Happy Monday to everybody. Obviously, with Monday night means Monday Night Raw. Also, to the Go Home show for Bad Blood this Saturday. I want to bring a couple guys in to talk about it. First off, we're bringing Mike McCarthy from the Run In Wrestling Podcast. Mike, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Ready to talk some wrestling. Ready to get this going.
Awesome. And a good friend of the show, man, I've known for a little bit now, Big Rich from the Pirates Chat. How we doing, my man? How's everything going?
Doing all right, doing good, man. Ready to make this thing happen, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a good day.
Awesome. I'm glad your guys' mics are on. Awesome. Good to go. You guys are ready. So, obviously, Bad Blood is going to be a good PLE. Nice little setup going into Survivor Series War Games. So, a lot of good stuff should happen this upcoming Saturday. So, I guess we'll walk down the card a little bit. We'll start from bottom to the top in no particular order. The first match we start talking about is Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Obviously, a grudge match here. Former Judgment Day friends turn into foes. I think this match is going to be good. I think we're going to see a lot of interference in this match, a lot of nefarious stuff going on, a lot of people getting involved. But I think this is kind of where Damian kind of takes the onslaught, takes on Finn, takes on everybody else, and kind of gets his comeuppance and finally gets a win here to kind of have like stand tall above the group. Maybe I'm wrong, but I got Damian kind of standing tall and looking like the victor here. Mike, what do you think happens in this match?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think the same thing. It's going to be Damian. I think it's going to be his triumphant moment, to kind of get past the Judgment Day, and hopefully he can move on to some other stuff. Maybe do some mid-card stuff. With the Intercontinental title, I don't know that he goes back after Gunther right away because I think they've got some other stuff lined up there. He could, but definitely I think this is kind of his closing to the Judgment Day stuff, because obviously that's why they haven't let him and Finn kind of go at it really a lot on Raw. They've been saving that for this, and it's interesting because this is really one of the only matches that aren't a rematch of some kind, since they haven't really let him fight. Yeah, I definitely think Damian wins it and moves on.
Awesome. Rich, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Mike. I think I would love to see a Damian Priest Braun Breaker setup. I think those two guys could put some seriously heavy-duty matches together because they're both big guys that can move well. And I think Priest goes over Balor. He needs to. Balor is not Balor when he came in. I'm sorry, inaugural Universal Champion and all that. He's not what he was then. He's kind of, rounding third, headed toward home on his full-time career, I think. And, I think Priest moves on, wins this, moves on to – I'd like to see him against Breaker, but I'm not real sure what they're going to do next.
That's not a bad call. I wouldn't mind seeing that match. I wouldn't mind seeing that feud at all. But on the side stuff, let me ask you guys something. Obviously, Priest is a former world champion. Cashing his money in the bank. A lot of people said they were running out of time. They had to pick their spot, have him cash that in. Do you guys see Priest winning that belt again? Mike, what do you think?
I mean, I think he could. I think he did. He progressed a lot of good storyline with the belt, and he had some really good matches with the belt. Sorry. That I don't see, maybe not right. Like I said, not right away. I'll learn how to talk here in a minute, guys. I promise.
I'm getting over a cold, so I feel you. I'm like stupid every 3 seconds.
I got Texas allergies, so we're all screwed right now.
Exactly.
So, but definitely, I see him getting another shot, maybe another run, later down the line after the whole Gunther thing. I don't see him ever beating Gunther. I think they'll save that for, somebody bigger on the card that they really want to give a huge push to once they take Gunther's reign out, which I think will be a fairly lengthy reign, around WrestleMania time or a little bit longer. But definitely sometime in the future, I could see him going after it again.
Beautiful. Rich, what are your thoughts?
I think he could. I agree, not soon. Gunther's got too many other people to work with, including a coming back Seth Rollins before too awful long. I think Priest is going to be more of that Intercontinental, maybe get a tag partner. I don't know. To maybe he teams up with Andrade or something. I don't. That's just spitballing on that one. To go tag team, but could I see him winning the world title again? Yeah. I mean, he's a super talented guy. You could see he did well with the belt. He didn't. You could tell it was the first time he had a major championship too. But you could see he did well with it, and I think the second time he would do a whole lot better with it than the first.
And I'll tell you, somebody that I think that he should feud with next, like no titles or anything, obviously, is Karrion Kross. I think those two would make really good matches, especially now that he's a face. I think that would, and especially through their indie days, they could bring a lot of that back, more of their hard hitting styles. I think that would make really good matchups in the near future.
I agree, man. Karrion, like ever since he's come back, he's been okay, but he needs that a really good feud to really put him back on the map and like define him on this roster. He's been there, he's floating around, he's doing some stuff, but he's something on a high profile feud to really get back into what he's doing ever since he's come back. And speaking about Gunther too, just calling out. You don't have to go crazy about it, but how long do you think Gunther holds this belt? I mean, we don't have to go up days or anything like that, but is it Mania? Is it late into next year, middle of next year? After the IC run that he had, how long does he hold on to this world championship?
I'd say past Mania, in between Mania and SummerSlam, one of those two.
All right.
I think Orton beats him for it at Mania.
Ooh, I like it. I like that. Calling back to the feud too, going back to it. I like that. Awesome.
Orton's going to get one more run before he hangs him up. So is Cena. Cena's going to get another run with something before it's all said and done.
Cena, remember, he's the Intercontinental Championship.
He's never held the Intercontinental title,
man. He needs it. He needs that title, man. I'm telling you. And Orton just re-upped. I think it was a couple months ago. I think he's in a 5-year deal. So obviously that's probably gonna be the end of whatever he's doing. But he's definitely got to get one more run because he's a 14-time right now, right? 14-time.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think he's 2 behind.
Yeah, so he's got to get one.
5 years. That 5 years. I think we're going to see a lot of part-time Randy Orton during that 5 years.
I agree. Definitely around helping out younger talent. He's great. He's always going to get a pop. He's always going to be over, like no matter what he does. I wouldn't mind seeing another run of heel Orton though. He's always in his element whenever he's running the heel style. It's always good for him. All right, so we're in agreement with Damian Priest. So we'll go jump into the one of the championship matches is obviously the WWE Women's Championship. Nia Jax taking on Bayley in a rematch here. This is tough. I mean, I want Bayley. This last championship run was a little mediocre for me. It was a little kind of flat for Bayley. I don't know if it really hit on all cylinders of what she's done in the past. Nia Jax has been good. I think the Tiffany Stratton pairing has done good for her. Obviously, she's grooming Tiffany, teaching her kind of some things behind the scenes, how to do things in the ring as a heel, getting over on the mic, stuff like that. I have Nia Jax walking away with the championship. We'll go over who's going to win there. And then also on a side note, when you're talking about that, do we see a cash in or an attempt at least, or some kind of interference by Tiffany Stratton? Rich, what do you think?
I think Tiffany Stratton walks away with the title.
Oh, this early? Okay.
I think they beat the stuffing out of each other so much that neither one of I think Nia will probably end up winning the thing just to keep the thing going between those two and her and Mia Yim and folks like that. But you know, they're going to beat each other's brains in, and they're going to be so wore out that Tiffany's going to be standing there with that briefcase and going, how do I not use this and cash in? And I think she walks out with the title.
Nice. Mike, what are your thoughts?
So I think they actually continue it on a little bit longer. I think Nia wins. I think they still kind of let it play off of, won't Tiffany kind of thing. Just because they've gotten a lot of good story out of it. And Triple H, the one thing about his booking is he tends not to pull the trigger very quickly on a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. I guess Braun Breaker may be the exception to that with him losing last week. I thought that reign would be a little bit longer. But I think Nia wins. They continue on with their kind of tease. I think Tiffany will end up cashing in like probably after Nia loses. So whenever that is, whether it's maybe at the Rumble, you have earlier in the night Nia losing, Tiffany cashing in. That way Nia can go back into the Rumble and have her big monster moment in the Rumble, because they always like to have that with Nia in the Rumble. So I could see her dropping it at that point, and maybe whether it's Tiffany, Meechin, whoever it is, Chelsea Green, anybody, or even if it's a Charlotte Flair coming back, because I think they're waiting on that match too with Charlotte Flair and Nia, just to have those two going at it. And maybe Charlotte Flair wins after a hard fought match. Tiffany cashes in the Royal Rumble, and then you see Nia in the Royal Rumble later on. But definitely Nia at this pay per view.
See, that's kind of what I was thinking. I'm thinking somewhat of a Charlotte Flair coming back sometime toward the end of the year or Rumble. Her and Nia, she wins it off of Nia. Tiffany wins it off of Charlotte because Charlotte doesn't need the belt to ever get over or do whatever she's doing. But that legitimizes Charlotte coming back as a face. Tiffany with the Uber Heat has the belt, and then she has that feud with Charlotte going to Mania. I think that would be cool. That's actually kind of where I was thinking with that as well. So,
I was thinking Charlotte would come back at the Rumble. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Rich, if she doesn't cash in Saturday, if not then, when do you think she would do it?
If not then, man, how big of a rocket do you think they're going to put on her? Because I keep seeing, if it's not going to be, and I know this is going to sound really weird, if it's not Bad Blood, I think it's Mania.
That's a big moment to put it on you at Mania. That's a big moment.
But the one thing I don't want to see, because it's going to be woman amongst girls, I do not want to see Charlotte against Tiffany Stratton. That will be a complete abomination. Okay. That'll be a complete abomination because there's no way Tiffany can keep up with Charlotte. No chance. No way. No how. No way. I'd rather see Roxanne Perez or Sol Rocca or somebody like that in there with Charlotte than I would Tiffany Stratton.
No, that makes sense. And two, from what I've heard about Charlotte, it's not close. It's not going to be like, this week or next month. But maybe she does win it somewhere at Mania or holds it, or gets it at Rumble, maintains it for a while. And then night after WrestleMania, we all know how that Raw is, especially going to be on Netflix. Maybe that's what Charlotte, again, depending on where she is after that, that's a SmackDown title. But whatever's going to happen, whatever we're doing with the draft, things like that. So maybe that's where Charlotte kind of makes her play out. So Tiffany gets a little more under her belt, makes it more legitimized where she is going against Charlotte Flair, but kind of cut her teeth a little bit more with other folks before taking on the Queen. Totally makes sense. I totally agree with that point. So we'll stay with the women. We'll go to the other brand. We'll go over to Raw. We'll talk about the World Women's Championship. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. The question I've been asking, and of course, don't forget Dom hanging above the ring in the shark cage. What I've been asking is, are we really going to get all the way for Rhea having her moment to win this back at Mania? I don't know how nefariously you get this back with Dom in a cage. I have my thoughts. I think we see a return here. I'm going to go to you guys first. I'll talk. Maybe you guys hit on it first before I do, but I'll let you guys talk. I think Liv retains here because of outside interference of someone coming back. That's how I have it going down. Rich, what do you think?
As soon as they said, am I the only one? As soon as they said shark cage, thought Jim Cornette.
It came there. I thought, this is the third time I think they had Jericho in a cage one time. I think was it Jericho? Yep, there's Jericho. Yep. There was someone else before. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, but I remember, Fantastics Midnight Express. Yeah. They put Cornette in the shark cage, put him up in the deal. I could see. I agree. Why do I see this title going back and forth a couple of times between now and Mania?
I don't know. I want that,
but see here's Triple H wouldn't do this. This is the crazy booking of me. But I'm gonna say Liv wins. But there's going to be, and of course, there's going to be some sort of shenanigans. We know that. See, my crazy booking says, and it puts a complete spin on what we were just talking about earlier. If Tiffany doesn't cash in not in the Nia match,
no,
she cashed in this match.
I mean, Triple H likes to do the new unique stuff. I don't think have we seen a cross brand cash in?
Mm-hmm. Christian did.
The Christian. So it's
But,
been a while. So I mean,
Big Rich booking goes a little off the rails. So we've talked enough. You know this by now. But
yeah, nothing's out of the realm of possibility though with this regime. So I like it.
yeah, but I think Liv wins. She'll figure out some way to win it. Dom will drop her a chain out of the deal, or there'll be some sort of shenanigans. But I think Liv ends up winning this one.
All right, cool. I like that thought though. Going cross. Oh, I can't do it there. I'll just go over to Raw and do it. That's fine. Mike, what do you think?
I actually think Rhea takes this. I'm kind of the crazy thought of saying that they do hot shot it a few times and maybe have, because we just saw this great series, and I get it. They're not, they're not Andrade and Mello. It's not on the same. It's not going to be on the same level as that. But having a little series of matches where it goes back and forth, because again, Rhea's already taken her loss to Liv. Dom did interfere. You had that back at SummerSlam. At this point, and something's got to happen. Otherwise, there's no real reason for Rhea to keep getting another shot. So if you have it where Rhea wins, that way Liv can come back and try it again. Maybe do it at Survivor Series or at the Saudi show coming up. May have to have another rematch there where they can go back and forth. Maybe have it finishing at the Rumble. I don't know that I want to see it go all the way to Summer or to WrestleMania, because as much as I've liked the feud, I don't know that it has as much legs as to go another 8 months until next April. I just don't see that. Plus, the Judgment Day is kind of already watered down. I don't. By then, I think everybody would be tired of it unless they go on to something new, which is kind of why I said the thing with Damian Priest that lets Judgment Day go over to something new as well. But yeah, I think Rhea takes this one and they kind of swap it back and forth. I do like the shark cage aspect just because it makes something a little different, and it gives us a little fun where you can have a little bit of comedy wrestling in a Bad Blood show where everything else is more feud, kind of blood feud driven, except for maybe the Nia and Bailey. But even them, they've had some of the more of the hard hitting blood feud kind of moments. Yeah. But this gives you a point to have a little bit of fun and create a little bit of comedy wrestling in there to have Dom and doing some crazy things in the shark cage.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking about that last week. I think the Judgment Day is kind of running its course. I get what they're there for. We're doing like the street trash thing. We're trying to rebrand it without, Rhea, without Priest, but it's just, I feel like it's coming to an end at some point. And that's what I was saying. I don't know if it gets to Mania, if they're trying to figure that out, or maybe even Rumble. Rumble makes sense because a lot of things do happen at the Royal Rumble that are crazy. Something stuck out to me last week when Liv was kind of laughing at Rhea's face, how she was, and she came out, "I'm smarter than you. You have no idea." I think Raquel comes back. I think Raquel comes back as a heel, helps out Liv, and eventually, again, what they always do, turns back on her. But again, this is what I'm saying. Rhea kind of falls not away, but now Liv has to deal with Raquel when she turns back on her. That kind of that takes away a couple matches as far as that for the title, and then you can do Rhea at the Rumble. Rhea, I agree. I don't want to see it go to April because then you're really stretching the hell out of it. It's tough. They can get there. They can probably figure it out. I mean, at this point, it's almost it's October. They probably are everything planned out anyway. But I think Raquel comes back, and that's how I'm smarter than you without Dom. I can still win and still have interference and still outsmart you. So, but I think, like I said, Liv wins it. Go ahead.
No, Rhea Raquel at Mania wouldn't be a bad thing.
It's just, if it makes sense to get there, I'm for it. I'm just like, we gotta get to that point. There's so much before that. And obviously, like, who wins the Rumble? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much into it. So hopefully it all makes sense at the end of the day. But I think it's gonna be a good match, and I agree. I think it's one of those like kind of gimmick off, like you're gonna be laughing. Dom's gonna be doing weird stuff above the ring, maybe throwing stuff down, like getting upset. Like, it's gonna be cool, a fun like comic relief kind of thing with such a pay-per-view of like just like guys going against each other and a lot of like grudges going on. So before we talk about the fifth match, we'll talk about the Hell in a Cell. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. I think they're going to empty everything out of the chamber. Now that Triple H is in charge, they got rid of the PLE of the Hell in a Cell. Now we're using this match as it needs to be used, as we both watched, all three of us have watched for a long time. This is the end-all, be-all. I think we empty the chamber. Everything happens in that ring. Everything happens inside the cage. I think, and everything happens for a reason when things are said on TV. A lot of people, Drew said it, CM Punk said it. They've been bringing up AJ Lee's name a lot. She told me not to do it coming out of CM Punk's mouth. Drew saying, AJ, sorry to see your husband. This kind of stuff happened to him in the ring. I think CM Punk goes to such a great degree of doing something to injure and end Drew's career. She somehow jumps over the barricade, comes out of somewhere, and makes CM Punk. He still wins. I think CM Punk wins this match. This is how we end the rivalry. I think CM Punk wins. But AJ Lee, he goes above and beyond to do something crazy. She stops him. I think that makes her return into the business. I think she makes a return this time of year, maybe enters to the Rumble, the Women's Rumble, something at Mania. Makes sense this time of year. But I think we see everything and anything except for the kitchen sink in this Hell in a Cell match. I have CM Punk going over. Mike, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think CM Punk has to win. I mean, it's obviously his first feud in the company after coming back last year at War Games. I do think, I don't know that AJ Lee gets involved because I know she's got a lot of other stuff going on. It may be one of those things kind of like they did with Sammy's wife last year where she's just in the crowd and gets the pop in the crowd. I don't think she actually gets involved in the match, and they just show that emotion. They've done it with Drew's wife as well back at Mania. So I definitely could see something like that where they draw on that emotion as they just beat the crap out of each other. But I definitely think Punk needs to win. I would actually like them to add a stipulation to it. I know that seems weird, but I would like it to be a loser leaves Raw. That way they separate out. You let CM Punk win. He can still go have matches with Seth Rollins. He can go after Gunther. I know they've had that. They've kind of teased that a little bit. Let Drew McIntyre go back over to SmackDown, and maybe he goes after Cody Rhodes, can have some good matches there after all the Bloodline stuff. Maybe he's kind of a stopgap between WrestleMania and now for Cody Rhodes. And that's what I hoped would have happened at the beginning. That would have been the final match, because they said at the beginning, as long as I have breath, you're never going to win a title. As long as we're together, I'm never going to let this happen. So having them on the same show even after this just doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. So I would like them to add that, but I think either way, I think CM Punk wins and then moves on.
No, I agree. It's almost like one of those things like, yeah, we're finishing this feud, we're doing it in Hell in a Cell, but if either one goes for the other title, who's to say the other one doesn't get involved? And it's kind of just rehashing the same thing over and over. I agree with that. That would have been an awesome stipulation if they did something like that, because either one goes over to SmackDown. There's a lot of rivalries over there. A lot of people, that would be awesome going into Mania, into the Rumble season. That would have been awesome. Rich, what do you think?
I think Punk wins, but I think it also opens the door for a couple different things. If you saw the video from the Colts game, where T.Y. Hilton threw Seth Rollins out of the suite, I think Seth Rollins is pretty close to a comeback, and Punk ending this thing with McIntyre now opens the door. Hey, I got rid of McIntyre. Things can finally get back to normal. And then you hear that whole thing. So now you got your Punk and Rollins deal on this side. I do agree with you, Mike. I think Gunther and McIntyre would be fantastic.
Money.
Those guys would give great matches. But in the immortal words of a very wise man, who's the heel and who's the face? Gunther almost turns into the face in this thing. He has that following. He has that, as weird as it sounds, and I'm not putting him in the same category, but he has that Stone Cold type following where he's a face and a heel at the same time. And he's getting cheered like crazy. But if he was in there with if Stone Cold was in there with The Rock, or if he was in there with Triple H, or that kind of thing, he was getting as many boos as he was cheers. I think Gunther could be that way too with certain guys, and McIntyre is one of them. He will get cheered against McIntyre, but if he's in there against Damian Priest, he's going to get booed out of the building. Yeah. All that to say, I think Punk wins this thing. I think it is the bloodiest match that WWE fans have seen since Eddie Guerrero and JBL. I think they're just, as much as they've been talking about, I'm going to make you bleed, all that kind of stuff. I think it's just something somewhere is going to go haywire, and somebody's going to go like a stuck pig. And it's just going to be, the Hell in a Cell that makes you forget the last couple because they were really kind of uneventful.
So being that
If you
bloody, we all
remember-
three. Go ahead. Good.
But if you remember, John, we talked about this when they had their first fight, when Punk
Yep.
and McIntyre had their first fight. And I told you, I thought it was going to end up Hell in a Cell.
Mhm.
And it's worked. That it's the way he's
Wrong
laid it out.
wrong PLE, right ending. Absolutely. No, you
Yeah.
called that. Absolutely.
And
So we all
it's
agree.
just funny. It's funny that Triple H, like you said, Mike, Triple H is really kind of bringing that part of it back. That it's not the pay-per-view by itself; it's part of a pay-per-view or PLE. Sorry.
Well, the Hell in a Cell should only appear twice a year if you're lucky. Like that's the end all, and that's why you get the excuse for having that kind of match of just leaving it all. And what did JR taking years off of their lives and off of their careers, like just leaving it all in that ring. So let me ask you something, like going kind of AEW with what they just did it all in, kind of they had a weird, wild steel cage match. A lot of stuff happened in that match, what they did in that ring. What do you think one of the biggest spots is going to be this Saturday in that Hell in a Cell between Punk and McIntyre? What's something that you think we might see or you want to see as far as a huge spot or something crazy where the people are just like looking at their screen? Mike, what do you think?
I was really hoping you'd go to Rich first on this one because I'm not sure.
You can defer. It's fine. You can defer. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's going to be a spot fest.
One spot. No, one spot. There's going to be that one where it's like, oh, what is that one you think is going to be?
Okay, now I'm really going back in the record books on this one. The Stampede between Dusty and Big Bubba Rogers when they were in the finals.
Okay.
And Dusty wrapped the chair around Bubba's neck during that bunkhouse Stampede match.
Mm-hmm.
And he nailed Bubba, and it hit just right, and the seat blew out of it, and it was hanging around Bubba's neck for 3 minutes of the match. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, that's what happened. They did the same. I think it's what they were going for when they did it to swerve it all in. I think it's kind of the same thing where it blew off, and he was sitting there with it around his neck.
Right. I'm seeing it be something of that ilk. It's not going to be something where somebody jumps off the top of the cage. That's been done that. Neither one of these guys need to be doing that. It's going to be something like that, though. Maybe Punk puts McIntyre's head between the steps and the post and kicks it or something, something to that effect. That you could say, "Holy, if this really did happen, full blown street fight, this dude's dead." Or calling an ambulance, one or the other. I mean, you could do stuff like that. And Triple H could come up with some crazy stuff like that.
That's what I was asking. I think this is the one feud where you get that past to because obviously a lot of people were adamant about the AEW match, whatever happened, all that stuff. But this is where you get that excuse for this feud going on for so long, almost a year. You get that one shot where it's the kill shot. You know what I mean? Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything really crazy. I think the chair shot would be cool, but just knowing how WWE views headshots and things like that, and you just had, I know you guys are talking about the McMahon documentary, and they touch on that a little bit. I won't go into a lot of it because I know you guys are discussing it on Thursday, and I think that may be part of the episode. But they do talk about that, and they bring that up and how they've gone lengths to combat CTE and things like that. So I don't know that they do that just on their principle. But I definitely see, I would say it'd be something, to call back to their strap match as weird as that was to have in the feud, a strap match where you go touch 4 posts. I see maybe getting the leather strap out and just CM Punk just beating Drew McIntyre until his back just starts bleeding. And that's where he draws the blood on his back and just doesn't stop. Just time after time after time after time after time, just going crazy. Because this is what Drew McIntyre has brought CM Punk to. And really, you could go either way on that with either one of them doing it. I think it's going to be something like that where it's like they almost snap mentally than something that's going to be big. I think it'll be more of a psychological spot to where you're like, oh, wow, this dude may kill him.
Yeah, he
kind of thing.
that place.
Yeah, like
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, but I don't think there's going to be anything like screwdrivers or I don't think they'll do any of that. I think it will just be just beating the crap out of each other until one of them starts pouring blood.
As long as it doesn't end up anything like the Seth Rollins Fiend match, I'm okay with that. But just we're
Please
just
God,
piling
no.
one of the wrestlers. That's nothing like that. I'm fine. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great match.
If
Go
we
ahead,
see a
Rick. Go ahead, Rick.
cinder block, if we see a cinder block, I quit.
No, I think so. Maybe past regimes would maybe do something like that to call out. I don't think you're going to see Triple H do anything like that. I don't think Paul goes to that level. I don't think TKO goes to that level at all.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a good match, man. I'm excited. It's going to be good. It's going to be bloody, and it's going to definitely have a finality to it. And that winner, it's going to be interesting to see where the winner and the loser go after that. So the main event, obviously on Saturday, according to Triple H, where they've looked at social media and the people want this, it's the never before, never again pairing of Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns taking on the Bloodline. I've talked about this ever since it's been going on. This was going to be the comeback for Roman Reigns. I've said it before on a lot of the shows that these two were going to pair to take that on. And they go back at each other. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe it's Mania. We know Rock is in the wings waiting for Royal Rumble time to come around. Who knows what's going to happen at 41? I think this match is going to be good. I hope they just do enough to keep it interesting. I know they're doing a lot with those two being together. I hope there's not a lot of interference. I hope it's a clean match. These guys just kind of get it over, get it done, do what they got to do. But I think we may see a reappearance. Obviously, a couple guys have been signed to the company. We might see a new Bloodline member come out here. This might be the time to do that. Obviously, building into War Games coming up. That's probably the next shoe to drop as far as announcements. A week or two after Bad Blood. I have the Bloodline winning here because I feel like there's something that's going to happen with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton coming down to help if there is interference, and they're going to further the Kevin Owens angle when that's going to drop with Cody Rhodes. But I have the Bloodline winning here. What do you guys think? Rich, I'll start with you.
I don't know why I always have this older stuff pop into my head, but I keep seeing, and again, way back, 82 in a cage. Ole begging Dusty to be his partner, begging Dusty to be his partner against the Russians. If The Rock was the referee in this thing, I know that's what this is. But I can't see them turning it this way. But could it be a case that they're trying to pigeonhole Cody to where Roman goes back with the Bloodline and beats the stuffing out of Cody? And all three of them beat the crap out of Cody. The only problem is there's no cage. There's no preventing Owens and Orton and those guys from coming in and helping.
Yeah. And
you wishing for no interference is going to be, you can wish for it all day. Not going to happen. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa will interfere at some point. So will Owens and Orton.
I know.
You can write it down like the sun's going to come up tomorrow. Write it down. But I think those guys chase each other off. I think you're talking about as far as the appearance of the new member. It's the other brother, 6'8", like 260. But there's also a guy. But Jimmy Uso, exactly. We haven't seen Jimmy Uso in what? Since Mania? Since SummerSlam?
Yeah. A couple months.
Yes,
Been a minute.
Did we see him at SummerSlam? Did we? I don't think
it was right after Mania. Yeah, it was right after Mania when Solo took him out, like the SmackDown after Mania, I believe.
I think 1 or 2 weeks. Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a couple. It's 2 weeks after, I think. He's been out for about 4 months now, 4.5. Yeah.
So the kid comes in, helps Solo and Jacob beat the stuffing out of Cody and Roman for a while, and next thing you know, you hear Jimmy's music. I could see that 100%.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that happening. If they bring the new kid in, I could see Jimmy coming back at the same time. But I've got the Bloodline winning this thing too. It's got to keep that friction up between, because what's going to happen if Cody and Roman win? Cody jumps up in Roman's arms and that kind of
no. Well, this is what I was saying before. I was talking about when Roman came back and they do the handshake and the mutual respect because they have a common enemy, which we've seen in the vignettes at the stadium, the whole nine. But the same thing with Cena and Rock. They got through the match, and then all bets are off. Like Roman said, once that bell rings, they get the 1, 2, 3. That's it. I'm coming for that. I want this. Like I'm coming for that belt. But yeah, no, it's gonna be. I can hope for no interference. Okay, I can pray, but it's not gonna happen. I can still say that I'd like to happen like that. There's a lot of people that could get involved in that, but I think this Kevin Owens thing. I'm actually very interested to see where this Kevin Owens angle goes. The fact that it's always like, yeah, I got something to say to you, but not right now. I'm busy. And then he grabs a mic, and then the Bloodline music. I'm interested to see where we go with this. And I think it's going to be a very, very good angle, especially anytime Kevin Owens is a heel. It's amazing, amazing work. Not get too far off of that. Mike, I'm sorry. What are your thoughts on the match?
No, I'll actually start with that point. Kevin Owens is my favorite wrestler current day. And he's so much better as a heel that I am waiting. I have been waiting patiently and less patiently for him to make that turn. I don't think it happens here. I don't think it happens here. I do think the Bloodline wins. I do think there is a ton of interference. Not that, I mean, and it's got to, because you have to set up War Games, Survivor Series, and the only way you do that is the Bloodline winning. I do think, you have the Tongans come out when the Bloodline is in peril. They do have, Cody and Randy run them off, and then we do get a new Bloodline member. I don't know if it's Zilla or Hikuleo. I know I've heard reports that Hikuleo is actually going to go to NXT for a minute, which I thought was weird. Maybe they're trying not to make the same mistake that they did with Tongaloa, bring him up a little too early, and he struggles in the ring a little bit. So maybe they've learned from that mistake, so they're going to let him be in NXT for a few months and maybe bring him up at the end for War Games. But I could definitely see Zilla with all the bookings and stuff that he's pulled back on the independents, pulling his name from a lot of that. But it's after this. It's where this goes. The whole point of this match is to get us to the next level. Mm-hmm. You have the Bloodline win. Roman has to come back and say, "Look, I tried Cody. It didn't work. You guys keep having people. I know this game. I invented this game. I was the originator. So now I have to assemble my team, essentially." Brings back the Wise Man, brings back Jimmy, eventually brings back Jay over the next couple of months, and just starts assembling, knowing now that he has no other option than to kind of eat his words, eat his crow, go back to the guys that he let down out of the original Bloodline and build that back up as now kind of more of a babyface faction and a good guy faction to take on the other Bloodline at Survivor Series.
Yeah, that's a great point. I definitely think. Go ahead, Rich.
How would that work with pulling two guys from Raw? Because you're going to have to pull Sami Zayn too.
No, that's what I'm saying. You let Hikuleo stay in NXT, and he can join them at War Games. Let him stay in NXT for a month or two until War Games comes up.
You got Roman, Jimmy, Jay,
and then Hikuleo, who would join them.
It's only 4.
But like I said, though, I've said this before.
Gotta have a 5th one.
I think Cody is on Roman's team. Cody joins.
I don't know that they go back to that though.
I don't think Sami is the option to go here right now. I think that's why they're kind of. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Cody is the 5th man, John. If Cody is the 5th man, Ole Anderson.
That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you. Like I've been saying this. That he's in this match. Never before, never again. John Cena, Rock, get it. And then he comes in. Obviously Roman's going to win that match with Cody. Now enter Dwayne. Dwayne comes back. You turn with this guy? You use this guy to win? Now you're friends with this guy? And then it causes the friction between Roman and The Rock. Now we get Roman Rock at either Rumble. I don't think it's Mania, but I just feel like that's how Cody has his involvement, which sucks because he's not defending the belt at these PLEs, which doesn't help Cody at all. But it furthers the Bloodline storyline. I've been saying this since day one. Cody is going to be the catalyst to bring The Rock back. Go back to the night after Mania. We're not done. We're just getting started. Does Rock go for the belt? I don't think so, unless he's cleared off a couple months of his movie stuff, like down the road. I don't know what he's going to be doing, especially being on the board. I don't know, but I just think Cody isn't done. This match, the Bloodline wins, and then they look over and who do we have left? Even like Cody's like, I'll help you out. I got you. And that's when enter Rock after Roman wins. Yay, we won. And Rock's like, what are you doing? Like, that's why I think Cody isn't done yet for the next month or two with that. So those are my thoughts. But it's not a bad.
And as far as just the number of guys, if I'm not mistaken, the majority of Hell in a Cell matches in WWE have only been 4-on-4. I think they may have had 1 5-on-5. But if you think back to the last Bloodline,
yeah,
like the last Bloodline, especially, it was Sammy and then Jay, Jimmy, and Roman. So there was only 4 on that team. I think what they do and how they could further it along is Solo has to choose one of the other people not to be a part of it. And maybe for some reason there's some of that tension between him and Jacob or him and one of the Tongans, and he chooses one of those not to. And that's how that bloodline starts to kind of dissolve and frazzle and everything like that. But I think normally they do 4-on-4 in WWE. I think originally it may have been 5, but I think they've kind of brought it back down to the 4. So it would be that bloodline kind of making that decision to, okay, well, you're not in the match for whatever reason. And then, yeah, exactly. Or you could make it one of the Tongans, and then the other brother's mad because, well, why wasn't my brother in the match? You know, anything like that they could do to kind of start dissension in those ranks.
I like that. I didn't even think of that. That's actually a really good angle to work that. Rich, what do you think about that?
Yeah, but is it just me, or is Tonga Loa just an absolute waste of space? I don't know. I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can try to look that bad. I mean, there's 4 corners in the ring. How do you miss a corner? Let's be honest about this. I mean, come on. I could.
He's had some botches. It was what was it? We had the belt issue when they came on here on SmackDown one night.
We had the kick in the nuts that was supposed to be
the low blow that he missed. Oh, dude.
I mean, you can't try to be that bad.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Tama Tonga is the second coming of Haku. I'm not saying that by any stretch. But Tonga Loa he can't be trying to be that bad. If it is, I don't know why they're putting a comedy piece in the bloodline. But this guy, I mean, maybe these other 2 young guys come in. Tonga Loa gets this magical ACL injury or something, and he's out for 6 months, and they can send him somewhere to get better. I'm dead serious. Send him to the Performance Center and get him a chance to work on getting better, and let the other 2 young guys come in. I don't know, but it may just be me. But Tonga Loa has done zero to impress me.
No, I agree. It's been a tough run, man. It's been tough.
And I thought actually too, when I heard the news about Hikuleo going down to NXT, that they could do something like that, have him be the extra person at Bad Blood to make the run in, and then the next SmackDown, because they just had the run in with the Tongans on NXT a couple weeks ago. You have a storyline where Solo is in the ring talking to the new bloodline, and he tells, which I know it's not going to be Hikuleo, I think it's like Tonga Longa or something like that was what they trademarked for the new name. He said, all right, well, you're going to go down. I want you to go dominate NXT.
I actually think it's Longa Tonga. It's something weird. It's like, Longa Tonga. Yeah. So it's like a tongue tire. Yeah.
Yeah. But he tells him, like, look, you saw what your brothers did in NXT going and destroying them. I want you to go down there and dominate NXT. You are going to be our representative for NXT. And that's how they get him down there. But he's still kind of intertwined in the bloodline feud as well. So that's also another possibility.
Yeah, I feel like something's going to go down this match, especially being the main event. Obviously, they want to throw things out and things happen right at the end of the PLE. So something's going to go down, man. Someone's coming back. I don't know who it is. There's a lot of options. But obviously, we know they're trying to stack. They got to stack up for Survivor Series War Games as well. So, but the funny thing is too. So we were talking about this. We're getting ready. I was getting ready for this. For all of us to talk about this, and I'm looking at this, and I'm going. Obviously, as we're talking right now, Raw has started about 20 minutes ago. So who knows what could happen tonight or on SmackDown on Friday? And I'm like, there's only 5 matches. There's usually at least 6 in a PLE. I think again, we're gonna find out once we're done with here. I'm gonna go turn it on and start watching it. Could we possibly see what happened the past couple of weeks with Sami Zayn's like triumphant, like down the path, going for this world title? Do we see Gunther and Sami Zayn on Saturday? Is that something that might happen?
No, I think they save it for
Save
down
it?
the
All right.
line.
Yeah.
Because
A lot of the
think
B
you're
pay per views have been 5.
usually, I think
that-
usually 5. It's usually 5 is yeah, makes sense.
I think your 6th match, because he's coming back Friday night. The man behind me
with no
against
to
LA
who?
Knight.
With the build though. Okay, one.
Who would it be? Yeah, that would be the question.
Before
At Bad Blood, who would be the match at a Bad Blood though? That's the only thing I don't know.
LA Knight, AJ Styles.
No. I'm not trying to be that guy. Anyone watching this? That's AEW booking. We can't. No, not the night after. I can't. That's too much. That's like that Dynamite someone coming out and then they debut at the pay-per-view. Like that's
Okay, but there's one big difference. It's not like AJ's never been there, first off.
I know that.
And there is history with AJ and LA Knight.
Yeah,
There is.
The last match AJ had was with who? LA Knight.
Yeah. I can't wait to see.
That's
I
a
just
good.
want
That's
the,
a
I want the smell of Andrade series to be over, man. What are we doing?
Oh my
Reminds me of the bar. What was Come on, man. Sheamus and Cesaro. Like, what are we doing?
One more piece of garbage Cesaro got involved with.
Oh,
To me, one of the better wrestlers of the last 25 years, and he has been stuck in some of the most absolute BS cliques, groups, whatever you want to call it. I don't understand
Cesaro?
how he's never gotten a chance at the world title. Cesaro, Claudio
They don't
Castagnoli, whatever you want to call him.
because they don't want him to talk. I mean that was his knock in WWE
Yeah.
that I kept hearing is his promos just never really connected.
He got
That's
a
why,
couple.
one of the reasons they put him with
mouthpiece.
Sheamus.
Yeah. Well, when he would talk with Sheamus, you could tell it was just obviously it was fodder, it was comic relief, like it was funny stuff. It was like Sheamus did a lot of the talking. So I mean,
There was a guy there that could have been his mouthpiece before he went to AEW. Why couldn't Regal have been his mouthpiece?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You never know.
I mean, he would have been a great Paul Heyman guy before Roman as well.
Right.
He could have that strong style. Maybe
Yeah.
I want to say maybe for like a night or
with
two.
him for a minute when he was Axel.
Yeah.
He did Axel. I think he did Cesaro for a minute. Yeah, it was when he came out with the when you hear the siren.
When he came out with the James Bond stuff and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when it would have been perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I cannot understand why this guy has to me, he's the second best wrestler to never win, or third best wrestler to never win the world title.
He can go. I'll give him that. I mean, it's something like I could see him being a world champion. Absolutely. And it's believable too. He's got the look, he's got the ability, but like Mike said, not the greatest on the mic. Even in AEW, he doesn't talk a lot. He talks here and there. It's not a lot.
Well,
and even
that's
now,
one of the things
he's doing the Rhea Dom thing. Now when Moxie does something, he's like, he's not even talking. He's just whispering in Mox's ear. And when now he's part of the faction. So that's a whole other thing. Don't get me that faction could be gold for AEW, but that's a whole other thing to talk about down the road.
So could the Hurt Business.
That's what I know. Like I said, we could do another 25 minutes for just talking about that stuff with AEW because it's there. If they grab it and do it right, could be some gold there. But yeah, do you guys have any? Obviously, I brought up the Gunther match with Sami Zayn. If there is another match, obviously sometime tonight or Friday, do you think there might be one more match? If there is, what do you think it might be?
If they added one, it's one that I've said for at least 2 weeks now should have been on there, and I think I wholeheartedly agree, and I'll argue this till I can't anymore. But the last monster standing should have been in Bad Blood. The way they've been fighting backstage, the way they've been, and I get it. You've got to have good stuff on Raw. You got to have good matches. That should have been the opening match at Bad Blood. Last monster standing. Go throughout the arena. Go destroy everything backstage. And to me, Bronson should win. I'm the same with you. I'm about to turn on Raw as soon as we go off of here and watch and see who wins. But that should have been that feud has gotten so hot so fast with all the spots that they've done in the back that would have fit perfectly on this pay-per-view.
Mike, you're 100% right. I agree with you completely. I honestly didn't think about that one, but when I heard AJ was coming back this week on SmackDown, I figured that was the match that was coming. I didn't even think about that Bronson Reed Strowman match, but I think you're 100% right, Mike.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. And speaking of Raw, man, RIP. The last 3-hour Raw of 2024 is tonight, guys. So
Good.
enjoy it. 2 hours the rest of the year, and there's rumors that Netflix might have 2 hours, not 3. So, and then SmackDown goes to 3 on USA. So who's to say what happens in the next couple months? It's going to be wild. But at the end of the day, it's just the 5 matches. I think it's going to be a great PLE, man. I think the Hell in a Cell is going to slap. I think Priest and Finn is going to be great. And like I said, the Cody Rhodes and Roman against the Bloodline is going to be great. And we're going to see something happen. Somebody coming back. Somebody's music hitting that we're getting excited about. So
one quick thing. Outside of the Hell in a Cell
Mhm.
and the tag match, do you legitimately see any of those other 3 matches being legitimate 20-plus minute matches?
No. Maybe Liv in Rhea because of I don't know, going outside.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. But the Finn Damian one, I mean, again, I don't know who's going to open. I just went kind of non-title all the way down to the main event. But I mean, looking at it, Nia and Bailey shouldn't go that long. I mean, again, maybe you prolong it with Tiffany kind of looking at her briefcase, looking back, doing kind of something for a couple minutes. But no, maybe you know what? Maybe Mike said, it's usually 5. Maybe that Hell in a Cell is going to take up a lot of time. So maybe it is just the 5 matches. I think that they want to let that story play out and get ended the right way. Let those guys tell that story because it's gonna be rough, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember the main event to the night 1 of WrestleMania, that tag team, how long it went with all the run-ins and stuff, it's going to be something similar to that. Obviously, not on the same scale because you're not going to have the Undertaker, John Cena, and The Rock, but it's
Right.
going to be something similar to that where you have waves of people coming in and out. So that match itself could take probably 45 minutes just with everything going on. The Hell in a Cell, again, I could go 30, 45, an hour, really.
Yeah.
So with those 2 being that long, I don't see any other ones maybe going. They may go around 20, but I don't see them going any longer than that. But I will say one thing I've noticed about this pay-per-view is as I started looking at it to pick it, it's actually one of the more unpredictable cards. There's not a match on there where you go and say, well, this person's going to 100% win like we've seen in the past, especially on B pay-per-views.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm glad they brought this back.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think is going to make this a great pay-per-view, probably one of the better B pay-per-views we've had, even though, it's not an international crowd. It may not be as hot as normal, even though Atlanta's usually a pretty good crowd for WWE, but just the unpredictableness of the entire show where you don't know from match to match who's going to win. Yeah, I think it's going to make this one of the better B pay-per-views of the year.
And being a hot crowd too, I think that's also why they did one of those vignettes. I don't think a lot of people know where Roman played. And some people don't know where Cody's from. And now you're like, oh, wait, you guys are kind of both from here? Oh, wait a minute. Now people are like, wait a minute, who do we cheer for? Kind of building that up a little bit. So that was cool to see that as well. That vignette, that was some cinema, man. Like that, I haven't seen a vignette like that in a while. It was great to see that. Those 2 are great. They have great chemistry. It was awesome to see that, especially at the stadium too. You could have done that in the arena. To do it at the stadium, awesome stuff, man. I loved it.
And all the stuff that's been going on in Atlanta, man. All the weather. My radio station's in Albany, about 3 hours south from there, and all the
I was actually born in Albany.
Hurricane coming through up there. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a small world. But we, you got the crowd up there. They just had that big explosion up there this past over the weekend. That BioLab factory up there. They've had a lot of things going on there that. There's going to be a lot of people in that crowd. They're just looking to get away from all the craziness that's going on in the real world. And I think that crowd is going to be absolutely on fire from pillar to post the whole night. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they are just going nuts all night, just trying to get away from everything else.
And don't knock the fact. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And don't knock the fact. I know that nobody really kind of talks about it, but you do have Jade and Bianca hosting. Bianca can always get a crowd up. And as big as Jade is, as far as personality wise, I think you couldn't have had better hosts. If I'm not mistaken, Jade's also from the area. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly,
I think Jade's from the area.
I could be wrong.
To win, yeah.
So getting the crowd hyped up with them too at the beginning of the show and everything like that will definitely help
Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome. And to quote somewhat of the McMahon documentary, this is exactly what wrestling is for, to get away from the actual reality and just absorb yourselves for 2-3 hours watching a PLE and watch some good old wrestling and just live vicariously through that. So it's gonna be good. I'm excited. Awesome, guys. Well, it's gonna be a great PLE. I appreciate you guys coming on, talking about this. I'm pumped. Definitely gotta get together and talk about what happens with the fallout after Bad Blood. With that being said, Mike, I appreciate you taking the time, man, joining us. Where can people find you when you're not on here talking wrestling?
So I pretty much talk wrestling a lot. I have a Thursday night show. It's Thursday, 8 Central, 9 Eastern. It is the Run In Wrestling Podcast. It's myself, a buddy of mine, Sped Rock, and EC. I will do some predictions there. So a little bit of spoilers here for that show, but you do get to see EC and Sped, who are the stars of the show there anyway. And that's it. Like I said, every Thursday at 8 o'clock, you can catch me on X, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook at _BigMike27. I'd love to see you guys. Love to hear from you.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for taking the time, Mike. I appreciate it. Rich, where can we find you when you're not joining us here talking about some PLEs?
You can catch me on Twitter at Go Big Go Home Pod. Facebook, it's my name, Rich Richardson. Tuesday nights, we have open mic night over on the Driving to the Top Productions open mic night. And then Adam and I do a Pirates and Steelers podcast every Wednesday. It's called Pirates Chat, but we end up starting Pirates and Steelers, and we end up all over the place before it's all said and done. So it turns into guy talk at some points. We'll start talking barbecue, or we'll start talking different stuff like that. So you never know where it's going to end up. We know where it starts. We never know where it's going to end up. So if you get a chance to check us out, do that on there, Driving to the Top Productions.
Awesome. That's usually the best kind of guest kind of shows, where you just have a starting point and just let it go. Awesome. So if you guys are watching us, obviously right now for Chairshot Sports, you can catch us on YouTube, on Twitter, everywhere on social media at the same hashtag Chairshot Sports. You also catch me every Thursday at 8 o'clock with Vinny from Suds doing our Sports Entertainment Center as well. So guys, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's get out of here. Let's go watch some Monday Night Raw. And guys, everybody get ready and enjoy the Bad Blood PLE this Saturday.
Yes, sir.